is the University of Michigan.
Touchdown, Michigan!
And midcourt, extra pass.
And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole! Down the sideline! Peoples-Jones! Touchdown, Wolverine!
All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I am Justin, and I am joined by Jack and Kalen. Boys, I mean, just a triple overtime thriller win for the Wolverines versus the mighty Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I was talking to my buddy and like late last night, and he was like, "I'm actually happy about this." And I was like, "Well, I think relieved may be a better term, but it was nice accurate to have something positive to talk about this morning here."
Yeah, I mean, fucking Cade for Heisman. Let's go. Let's go.
We got a new savior. It's just like that.
Hey, you know what? We beat a team that's color is scarlet in November, so I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
There we go. Good spin on that one.
Great spin. I mean, we had a hell of a spark on offense. I know, like, it's just crazy. We saw it at the end of the game versus Wisconsin, obviously. And then, Cade came in, threw 4 beautiful balls. I thought maybe it was just like, all right, fourth quarter, we're down fucking 35 points. So maybe they have their backups in. But he looked legit. I mean, I tweeted it out this morning. The stat line for him was insane. 27 for 36, 75% completion percentage, 4 TDs, 1 rushing TD, 250-some passing yards, and 0 interceptions.
And that's playing – he didn't get in until the end of the second quarter.
Right.
Like imagine if he would have played the whole game.
I mean –
Dude, imagine if he would have played in some of the other games, right? If versus MSU, that would have been a win.
Yeah.
It's like – I don't even want to think about that because then that just makes me so sad. Like, we could be, I don't know, probably not 5-0, but we could be 3-2, 4-1. I don't know.
Be more competitive, that's for sure. At least the offense would have had something rolling.
I wouldn't even give a shit about this season as long as we would have beat Michigan State. Let's be honest.
I know. 3-2 would have been great. 3-2 would have been great. A loss to Indiana, whatever. They're a good team. Who else did we lose to?
Lost to Wisconsin.
They're a good team. I mean, whatever.
We probably would have scored more than 11 points against them, so it would have been at least, I can't say our defense wouldn't have given up 350 rushing yards, but at least we would have scored 21 points maybe.
Dude, there's a period in that game where I was like, I'm pretty sure Cade has been perfect on every throw.
Yeah.
Legit.
I had to look back and try to remember. I was like, man, was there a drive where they didn't score? And it was obviously his second drive because Nordine missed the field goal and time was running out to go to halftime.
Right.
And then
Cornelius fumbled.
Well, that was
Was that earlier?
That was Milton. That was a Milton drive, yeah. But then also in overtime, that was just horrible play calling by Gaddis. I think he only had one opportunity to throw the ball. So I mean, whenever they gave him opportunities to throw it, I mean, Michigan, they look great.
Dude, that first touchdown throw that Cade threw, I was like, it's over. Cade's the guy because he put so much touch on that ball. It was so perfect. I was like, oh, man, I love Joe, but Joe could never do that at this stage.
Joe would have thrown that through the field goal post.
Right, exactly.
Well, dude, we saw it twice already, like last game. I mean, Joe was still overthrowing guys, wasn't giving them an opportunity to catch the ball, and then Cade there's just a different level of confidence in Cade that Joe just doesn't have yet, and that's the biggest difference to me.
Yeah, that was a blown coverage, that first one, obviously, by Rutgers. Like, Cornelius Johnson was fucking wide open, but I mean, it was still, he hit him in stride pretty perfectly. So, but also it was just like up tempo. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly, on time. He hit guys in stride. Everything felt right. It's so unexplainable how different because But like honestly, our run game was so much better. The offensive line blocked better, and I don't want to be like, oh, these guys are playing for Cade more than Joe, but it kind of seems like that. Like I don't think people hate Joe, but it just seems like there's a different attitude when Cade is in.
I just think Joe isn't that style of leader, you know? And I mean, he's more of a quiet guy. And clearly it looks like what that team needed was somebody that could kind of be a little bit fiery. I mean, you saw Cade getting people in the right positions, trying to get the tempo going, like keeping people on pace and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's just something we never saw out of Joe. And maybe that's just not his style of play. And, you know, to each their own. But Cade went in there. He was a leader, played with confidence. Guys rallied around him. I mean, I'm glad he's finally in and he's finally the guy.
Yeah, I still think you could still see that Joe, he must know some of the playbook pretty well and stuff like that, because on the sideline you saw Joe, you know, doing some hand symbols and like pointing things out and talking to Cade. So I'm kind of like, okay, Joe's still in the mix there at some capacity, you know. Maybe we'll see him next week with like the headset on or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I don't expect to see him like in the game.
On the field, no.
No. I'm not saying.
I mean,
that, no.
I would they go to Villari?
That's what I'm thinking, man. I mean, like I feel like you have to.
I mean, shit. It's like I don't know. Which is so crazy, dude. And I don't know. I just Shea Patterson was not a super vocal leader either. Right, no. He was like Mr. Too Cool to like get hyped. He got hyped for people, but he was definitely seemed like he was a too cool guy. And then Joe was just like almost too calm a little bit, and then like it was kind of weird how calm he was. And then which I thought was like I thought it would be an advantage to him, that calmness, that collectiveness. But I think this team, especially when down in the dumps, they need somebody to be fired up and in their ear. Cade was over on the sideline, like dropping F-bombs, getting these guys fired up, like hitting each guy. And so like you need something like that, because obviously in the first quarter you're down 17-0, no spark, no nothing. You need somebody to step up like that, and thankfully it was Cade. So the other part to the offense, holy shit, we went RB1. We have a number one running back. Hassan Haskins got 22 carries.
Yeah, 22 carries, over 100 yards rushing, right? I mean, I still think in the beginning of the game they were shuffling through them every couple downs, and I was like, all right, here we go again. Yep. And then it was like, holy shit, Hassan's actually the guy. It's awesome to see, and it's great to see what can happen when a guy gets in a groove. I mean,
yeah, I'm not going to read too much into this because it only took 3 overtimes to get 22 carries, you know. So yeah. True.
Yeah, and a lot of them did come in the overtimes. That was when we really started running the ball really well. But still, I think that even with it happening in overtimes, I think that they'll go with that for the future. Then
I hope so.
To God, geez, I'm gonna be so pissed if we go back to everyone getting 4 or 5 carries each. Like, dude, you figured it out. It worked well. We actually had a 100-yard rusher. Like, I mean. I don't want to say I told you guys so, but I said this back in before the season started, right? Like, I mean, we all talked about it, honestly. Yeah. We all talked about it, and it was like, fuck, man. Like no other team has 4 deep. You know, maybe you have a 1 and a 2. The 2 is getting, you know, lesser carries, and then a third down back or something like that. But you can't just go 4 deep. And I thought the box score was perfect as far as number of touches for everyone in that offense. Hassan Haskins 22. I think Charbonnet had 6 carries. I would like to maybe see him. Honestly, I think Blake Corum's good. I just think he's gonna have his day. I'm sticking by that. So
I like you got Charbonnet over Corum. I mean, I can see that there'd be, you know, reason for that.
Well,
either guy, I don't think you can go wrong. But I don't know. I got to go Corum if I'm picking one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a chance to sit and watch the entire Ohio State game, and they did a really good job of Master Teague and Trey Sermon, and those are their 2 guys. And, you know, Teague gets most of the carries, Sermon comes in occasionally, but, you know, you don't see 2 extra guys beyond that coming in. So
right.
I would like to see, Hassan and Charbonnet really, be the established guys. And then maybe you have some other packages with, Blake Corum and Chris Evans. But you just rotating the 4 in, it's asinine.
Well, I think that I don't think Corum honestly should get any carries right now, but he and Chris Evans should be getting those swing passes like they did.
Yes.
I thought that was part of the box score that I really liked. Chris Evans had 1 carry, and then he had 4 catches, and it was perfect. And all those catches those are key catches for Chris Evans. So he's a big part of the game still, but not getting any carries. I think that's where Blake Corum is the most effective too, is when you get him out in the open field. He's so fucking fast. Like, that's where I want it to be Haskins and Charbonnet running off tackle or up the gutter. You can't run Blake Corum in between the tackles right now. He's just not big enough yet. And so Charbonnet is going to be that guy. Haskins is obviously the one guy with the most like yards after contact, which is what I really like to see.
Yeah, I could go for that. 1-2 Haskins, Charbonnet, but I mean, as long as Corum's getting touches out of the backfield somehow, whether it's screens or swing passes, whatever it is, I mean, if you get him in space, he's going to pick up some yardage.
Yeah. And then what do you guys think about the receivers? I felt like everybody really contributed pretty well. Honestly, we're fucking back to the tight ends. Nick Eubanks needs to never play again. I'm sorry, not to be like a super downer, but he's the worst blocking tight end or receiver I've ever seen in my life. He missed so many blocks. And then it frustrated me so much because he missed like 3 blocks in a row. I was watching. I literally tweeted him out. I rewound it and took the video, tweeted him out. And then we fucking throw right to him for the touchdown, and he's going nuts like he's the man. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I was so pissed. I was so mad that we scored at that moment. Honestly, I was like, what the fuck?
Man, you're just hanging around Spath too much. You can't even celebrate a touchdown anymore.
Well,
right.
That's
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean,
you shouldn't reward a guy for that stuff, is what I'm saying.
So then here's the real question: Eubanks or McCune?
I'm gonna stick with Eubanks no matter what.
At least Eubanks doesn't drop the ball as often, but like if you're a tight end as often, yeah. Fuck them all. Eric All should be in all the time. And what about Schoonmaker? Like, what happened to him? Is he still with the team?
Yeah, he's on the sidelines. I'm pretty sure. You just don't see him get in much. I don't know. I mean, especially when guys are not making blocks like that. I mean, it's just an opportunity for somebody else to get in.
Actually, I need to look this up. Number 85 was in, who I don't think is Schoonmaker, but he's like bigger, and he was in on some run blocking. So I can't remember what it was, but honestly, like, dude, I mean, as far as the wide receivers go in the offense, I mean, Ronnie Bell is just that dude. Like, I want him in on every single play, whether it's him blocking. He was so pumped for that pick play, a touchdown. He's like jumping up and down. Obviously, he didn't score, but he executed.
He was a big part of it. Yeah.
His thing right, and I was like, fuck yeah, man. Like, that is what we need right there.
Yeah, I feel like we saw a lot more of Cornelius Johnson in the game, a little bit less of Roman Wilson, a lot more of Mike Samer still. Giles was out there consistently. I think they're kind of figuring out who their guys are. And, I mean, other than that drop from Cornelius, man, I mean, 2 drops. No, yeah, he did have another drop on a touchdown. I think that's what you were talking about before, Ro. But that was a good play by the defender. But I think they finally found their guys. And with Cade out there, man, I've got so much faith with him just putting the ball where it needs to be. My hope is back. My hope is back for the rest of the season. Fuck is right. Fuck is right. It's bad.
See, here's what I'm really, really hoping, and I don't think it is, because I think Cade is a very talented guy, and he could be a really good quarterback. But I'm hoping it wasn't just like John O'Corn against Purdue in 2017, where he came in, lifted him up, and then obviously it didn't work out the rest of the season.
God, don't put that in my head. But yeah, it could be. Very well could be, man. Very well could.
When you put in a guy like that, you obviously have no film on him. I thought the play calling was different with Cade.
Right?
I don't understand that. We were running RPOs with Cade that we never ran with Joe, and maybe we did with Joe, but he they looked like gives always with Joe.
I think another thing too that you brought up earlier is Cade was hitting guys in rhythm. You know, whether it's 3-step drop, 5-step drop, whatever it was, once he got to the back of his drop, he was letting that ball go. Where with Joe, we'd kind of see him get to the top of his drop and just kind of like stand there and look around and really not be sure of where the ball's going to go.
Right.
So, I mean, they could have been calling those for Milton, but we don't really know what's actually being called because it took him so long to get the ball out. And that's why a lot of the balls went crazy. I mean.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought they were kind of, maybe this is because they had such a new line, but I wanted to see Gaddis call more like zone read stuff with Joe. I thought that would have maybe got him in a rhythm and they could take advantage of all those running backs and Joe's size and athleticism, and they never really did that. And I don't know. Does anybody know about Cade? Does he have some wheels on him? I have no idea.
I mean,
got enough.
I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I don't think he was anything. I think he was a pocket passer coming out of high school. I don't think he was, a dual threat guy at all.
No.
Did you know his high school stats? He threw for like 12,000 yards in his high school
146 touchdown passes.
Both Nevada state records.
Yeah.
That is insanity. And I know he played at like one of the best high schools in Nevada, right? They played on ESPN and shit, I'm pretty sure. But fuck, man, that like I'm pretty sure Joe's stats are like he had like 3,000 passing yards on his career in high school.
And I think it was like 45% completion percentage and
Right.
Yeah.
I almost okay. We talked about this earlier, but I mean, I just want to know what the hell happened in this quarterback room this offseason. That where does McCaffrey fit into this situation? How did it become that Joe was like the god over McCaffrey, causing him to transfer? And then I mean, my thought is that Cade never even got the reps because they were so focused on who it was going to be McCaffrey. But like they had to see that McNamara was good. Like I'm sure, right?
I have a theory about this.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think that because Harbaugh kept saying like they're doing it in practice, they're not doing it in games, right? So I think that our corners were just so bad that in practice, Joe was just lighting them up. He would just throw the ball down the field. Mikey Sainristil would just blow past the corner or whatever, make a catch and be like,
and
holy
Nico,
shit, look at Joe. This guy's unreal. And then he looks amazing. Then they put him in the game. They're like, we don't know what's happening. A real corner's actually covering the wide receivers, I
don't know, man. Because Joe couldn't hit a fucking wide open guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I'm at a loss. I think something else must have been going on behind the scenes, and I would love to like be able to talk to McCaffrey and be like, dude, what the hell happened?
I feel like something's gonna come out, like maybe a few years down the road or something, or when he finally transfers somewhere, something's got to come out because it's just unexplainable how I mean, first of all, the fact that we could not get either Dylan McCaffrey or Joe Milton good enough to play quarterback for us, I think is very, very frustrating.
But I think McCaffrey was good enough, man. We saw it 2 years where he got in, he got chances. And that's where my thought coming into the season was like, all right, we knew McCaffrey was good. We knew all the potential Milton had. And I just thought Milton had figured it out and he was going to be amazing. But Milton didn't live up to the expectations everybody had for him. And honestly, I think if McCaffrey would have stayed, he would have done a million times better.
That's why I'm convinced that there must have been something. We've all heard the things about Harbaugh, right? That he rubs people the wrong way. Yeah. There must have been something like that happened because I refuse to believe that he made such a dumb decision like that.
I mean, I know for a fact that McCaffrey was a prima donna, kind of a douchebag, probably not even kind of, big time douchebag. So really? egos probably collided there, and Jim was probably like, hey, can you shut up and just try to do your job? And McCaffrey's like walking around like his shit doesn't stink, So it probably was something like that where he, Harbaugh was trying to make him, put him on the same level as everyone else and push him. And McCaffrey was like, I'm the dude. I don't need to be pushed like that. And I can see that happening too. I also, half of my theory too is that they just saw 6'5", 240-pound Joe Milton with a cannon for an arm, and they had to be like, we can't pass on this type of athleticism.
Have to give him a chance. Have to see what he can do.
I don't hate that, but like,
yeah, I get that.
And you also, I mean, you do have to assume that he's not gonna fucking overthrow every deep ball by 20 yards.
I mean, the one that got me more than anything yesterday, it wasn't even an overthrow. It was just wildly inaccurate. Ronnie Bell got to a spot, was wide open, and then Milton throws it 5 yards to like away from him towards the DB. I'm like, all right, get him the fuck out. And I think the series after that, he was pulled. Yeah. But I was like, man, what is just, I don't know. Got to be a lack of confidence in my mind. Definitely a lack of leadership. Hopefully he figures it out and goes somewhere, man, because I don't think he'll ever have a shot at Michigan again.
Which is unfortunate and really disappointing and frustrating, right? So, I mean, I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, man, if I was Joe Milton, where would I transfer? Maybe like UCF. Oklahoma or something, and try to get, Lincoln Riley to help me out or something, somewhere where I'm like, I know they coach quarterbacks. That's where I would go, because I would have to admit to myself that I need some fucking coaching.
And not from fucking Devin Gardner.
The hip thrust master, dude. Fucking
Jesus Christ.
He's that video. I literally 7-year-olds. 7-year-olds. I'm like, dude, I saw that video and I lost my mind. I was like, what is actually going on here? And when I watched it myself, I was like, what is he doing? You can't just push him over. Like, what is going on?
Why did he just like do that?
Right.
Literally one hand, and he could have shoved him over.
It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I was like, all right, you just lost all your credibility.
Yeah.
And so, like, in half of that, I'm like, dude, you know what? Devin Gardner, yes, I think they're comparable as far as athleticism. So I thought maybe it would be a good fit. But why couldn't we get Joe Milton, like a real QB guru to work with? Why is he working with fucking Devin Gardner, who, obviously is an athletic guy and, had potential at Michigan. It didn't work out because of other factors, but like, can we get him like a real quarterback coach? I don't know.
Dude, you're Jim Harbaugh. Joe Milton is from Florida. Jim, pick your phone up, call Tom Brady and say, hey, I got a kid from Florida. He's going to go home, stop in Tampa, and work with you for a few days, Or, I don't know.
Yes. Even if you're not working with Tom Brady, say, hey, Tom, who's a good QB coach down in Tampa by you? Like, I mean, the fact that you don't even have to go to actually Tom Brady. Like,
no, but
Jim Harbaugh, how many contacts do you think is in his phone of other coaches that know how to coach quarterbacks? Including his goddamn self. Fuck.
Right.
Very frustrating.
I don't know why we're all pissed off because Cade.
I know.
We got a Heisman.
We went down a rabbit hole.
I got riled up there, but Cade is obviously Heisman contender now, maybe.
I mean, he's got to be the front runner at this point.
Don't sleep on Villari.
Villari's coming up. I did see B. Cooper tweeted back at me when I said I tweeted out last night that I would shotgun a beer if we got to see Villari, and B. Cooper tweeted back and said, what did he say? He said something like a first round in the NFL or second round in the NFL. So
Now, did you guys see Cade when he was on the sidelines at some point? Jim Harbaugh was giving him the Wilton Spate, like beating his chest and doing the whole nine.
That got me hyped.
I liked that.
Back to 2015, 2016 Harbaugh.
Yeah, and Milton was still in when he was doing that. So I think Jim fucking knew. He was like, dude, you're going in here shortly. But I still agree with starting Milton. You had to give him another chance and just be like, all right, we've invested so much in you. Here, we got to give you a shot. You have one last chance. This is it. And it didn't work.
I mean, that's the nail in the coffin too, right? Like, Milton, you got your chance. You had your opportunity. Clearly couldn't do it. And Cade went in and had no issues at all. Then it's just like, okay, perfect. Like, that deal's done. Now we've seen it. They've gone against the same team with the same athletes on their side of the ball. And you just couldn't do anything. And Cade goes in and has no issues. So, I think that's just what everybody needed to see too.
Right. Yeah, I think it was a good offense in the second half and late in the second quarter. Let's talk about the defense. I sadly there really still are no positives because Rutgers put up 35 points in regulation on Don Brown's defense, and it's fucking Rutgers. And I know they're better than normal years, but it's still fucking Rutgers. And so I was looking up Noah Vedral, Rutgers quarterback. I was looking up his stats for the year. By far, his best game was yesterday. By far.
I mean, Don Brown's got to go.
Has to.
Don Brown. There's been no light at the end of the tunnel for Don Brown. It's just always it's been getting smaller and smaller after every game. He gets worse and worse. I mean, you got to let him go. You got to let him go.
Very true. Yeah, I thought the corners played better yesterday than they did the last 3 games. So maybe G-Mon Green got beat a couple times, which is better than 30 times or whatever. And Vince Gray I thought played okay. So I thought there were a couple positives in that realm. And then the injuries mounting on defense, I was like, holy crap! Who are half of these guys?
Yeah, I mean. And there's a point to the injuries too, right? Like, I get it. Your starting guys you expected to be in are out, right? But still, the backups you have in there are more talented than any of these guys that you've been going up against. And if you're coaching a scheme where guys can't just be plugged in and succeed, it's not working. I mean, consistently been scored 30, 40 points against that defense, and it's just you can't always rely on having superstars to bail you out.
Dude, our rush defense is garbage.
Awful.
Ro, I don't know if you have the stats in front of you or not, but I'm pretty sure we were giving up 7 yards per rush or something like that.
Yeah, they had 40 rushes for 104 yards. So it was not that good, but that probably includes sacks and stuff like that.
Okay.
But when they did, we stopped them a few times at the line of scrimmage. But it seemed like when they got a crease, they were going, they were going for 10 yards or so. And we talked about it earlier too, but the Will Heiniger mentioned, he called it leaky yards. It was yards that when we should have stopped them, and then they still get 3 or 4, they fall forward or get a couple more. It's that's the frustrating thing to me.
How do you like that? What was it, touchdown or 2-point conversion to take it to overtime? I mean, skinny ass quarterback for Rutgers, just pulling 3 linemen with him.
I'm like, bro, it's hard to fathom that. It's the game's on the line, man. How are we not pushing as hard as we can to get a win there? And we just let them have an unbelievable drive down to get to that 2-point conversion. First of all, yes, that drive was ridiculous. I thought our offensive drive before that was really good too. We took a lot of time off the clock, pounded the ball, and then punched it in. I also want to give props to Rutgers. That throwback in overtime, that was
perfect.
A sick play, and they
perfectly executed it
perfectly. Yeah. That was great.
Because they drug it out for a while. He kept rolling for a while. Normally you see it get thrown back a little bit quicker, and they just boom, 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 the quarterback threw it to a spot, and the guy just
ran right on.
That was pretty.
That was beautiful. That'll work against any.
Last week against Illinois, who is, in my opinion, the worst team in the Big Ten. Maybe Minnesota, maybe Michigan State. Obviously, they fucking beat us, but. He went 21 for 34 against Illinois, 2 TDs and 3 interceptions. Against us, 29 for 43, a better passer or passing percentage, 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick, and that pick was just on a heave on the last play of the game.
Oh my god!
He had a hell of a stat line yesterday, and. That's a fucking Rutgers quarterback.
Got to get Don Brown out of there.
What did you guys think about the quality of the defense deeper in maybe the second and third overtime versus throughout the whole game? Because for me, I was it almost feels like drastically better for whatever reason in like the second and third overtime than the rest of the game.
Yeah, I thought so. We pointed this out last night. Once McGrone went out, I thought Adam Shibley, who replaced him, played better.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me because McGrone's supposed to be an all Big Ten guy. And so that blows my mind. And then Brad Hawkins came out, and I thought Hunter Reynolds made like 5 plays in a row. He was actually playing the ball, which was crazy to see. I think there were some guys that got in there
before the game, right? They said Hunter Reynolds had earned playing time, and that was before Hawkins even got hurt. Yeah. And then when he did come out of the game, Reynolds was able to go in, and like you said, Ro, I thought he played really well.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I thought actually Josh Ross had his best game of the season. He was that was the first time I was impressed by a linebacker this year actually. So he had a sack, he had a couple really good plays. I felt like he was running to the ball. Unfortunately, I thought Dax Hill had the worst game of his probably career. He just like wasn't playing that one deep ball. I mean, he's there and just, what are you doing? It didn't look like he even wanted to go get it.
It's like he had no idea the receiver was even there. Otherwise you're going to try to go high point. Right. You got to go high point the ball. I mean, that's he must have not even seen the guy. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, did not expect to see that out of Dax Hill.
It was weird. It was really weird. It's just like 1 week you give up 350 rush yards to Wisconsin. The next week you give up 380 yards to passing to Rutgers. So at this point, teams just can pick what they want to do and do it, and they'll succeed against this defense. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about the offense and confident. But we're gonna give up 50 points every week, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm like literally last night, and had this been 2 games ago or even last game, like I was laughing every time Rutgers scored. I was like sit there and laugh. I'm like, I can't even be upset about this anymore. Like, what is this gonna do for me? Like, it's comical.
I'm just imagining Jack with like a beer in his hand and just like ha 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 ha, and like a tears rolling down his eyes.
Down my face.
Heather's like sitting across the living room, like, what the fuck's wrong with him?
Oh no, Heather was like, yeah, I think we're gonna have a couple of our friends coming over. I'm like, please no, Michigan plays tonight. Like, I can't be around anybody. I'm sorry. Like, I need to watch this game by myself. So like, I was still able to laugh at the defense and be like, whatever. But at least we have faith in the offense now, where it's like, okay, they can hold their own. Keep Michigan in the game, but we know that you can't count on the defense to do anything. You cannot count on the defense to stop anybody at any time. You just have to hope that Michigan scores every time they have the ball.
Yeah, no, if you're the coach, your game plan is win the coin toss, receive, and just try to score first.
I also, so did you guys watch Indiana Ohio State yesterday?
Yeah.
That was a great game. Great game.
I thought Indiana might come back and do something, man.
That's probably Justin Fields' worst game.
Oh,
yeah, he had 3 picks, right?
And bad picks. Like, they were terrible decisions. He was going down. He either could have just went down or thrown it out of bounds, and he decided to throw it up twice. It was
that throw was like the middle was bad. That was a real bad throw. He could have thrown it deep and kept the guy going on his route, and it might have been a completion, but when he threw it short, that number 22 Jefferson or Johnson, I mean, it was right to him.
So, yeah, this is my worry. Indiana played probably as good as they could have on defense. Forced 3 turnovers. Justin Fields had the worst day of his career, and they still put up 600 yards, Ohio State did, and scored 35 points on offense because they had the pick 6 to make it 42. So, like, if this is their worst day on offense, 600 yards and 35 points against a good Indiana defense. So what do you think's going to happen in a few weeks when they play Michigan? I mean, they're legitimately going to go for 800 plus yards.
Yeah, it'll be a fucking blowout. It will be a blowout.
This is all part of Harbaugh's plan. He's trying to deceive you all, right?
Ooh.
Guys, go in there and play really bad, right? Don, put your mask over your eyes and coach the game or something, right? And so that's what's been happening. So we're going to play Ohio State, right? Joe Milton is going to come out and he's going to take all these like ankle weights off and like a chest plate off, and then he's just going to expose his Superman S on his chest, and we're just going to annihilate him, right?
Oh, God.
You know, I have a conspiracy.
Even I'm not that optimistic.
I have a conspiracy theory. You know, there's always the talk about Ohio State prepares for Michigan every single day, right? Michigan doesn't think about this game enough. They don't prepare. What if this is the year that all Michigan's been doing is preparing for Ohio State? They haven't prepared for any other team. So that's why they suck against every other team. But we're going to know every single play that Ohio State runs. We're going to expose the hell out of them finally, because that's all we've practiced for.
That would be amazing.
That's a hell of a theory, right?
I'm just writing this down the time, getting ready for a highlight.
That would be such a middle finger to the fan base. Fine, you guys want to beat Ohio State? That's all we're going to practice.
Dude, take that middle finger and throw it in my face. As long as Michigan win, if they win that game, I will take it. I will gladly take that.
Let's be serious. Would you take 4-4 with a win over Ohio State this year?
Yeah, 100%.
Over
100%.
7-1 with a loss to Ohio State?
This year, 2020, yes, 100%. Yeah. I mean, probably every year, yeah. Michigan's not beating Maryland.
You don't think so? I haven't watched any Maryland, so I have no idea. But
well, after they lost, they got blown out by Northwestern, but Northwestern turned out to be a very good team.
True.
And then Maryland, I think, put up 40 to 50 points and blew out whoever they played in their last two games they had played before they got
They're
COVID.
Pretty good.
They're
all right.
They got fucking what's his nuts from
Little
Bama, the OC, and then they brought Little Tool with them. So I mean, Bama connection, man. They're putting up points, that's for sure.
Loxley, right? Isn't that it?
Mike
There
Loxley, yep, Loxley. So I mean, I think Michigan beats Penn State, but dude, that Maryland game will probably be pretty similar to the Rutgers game.
I agree. The one thing about last night, which is kind of crazy to me because of the two programs that were playing, it wasn't like Michigan was fucking up so bad and like that's why Rutgers was in the game. It legitimately looked like both teams, talent-wise, scheme-wise, everything else were on the same playing field. It was like two of the same teams going at it.
Yeah,
so,
agreed.
How does that happen in the year fucking 2020, in year 6 of Jim Harbaugh? I don't know.
Tom Brown got to go.
He's got to go. Which is, I think Kirk Herbstreit said it, or somebody said it on College Game Day. They said if you put the rosters next to each other, they look similar of Michigan and Rutgers, and they were right because last night it was blow for blow. It was like an even match. Obviously, it went down to 3 overtimes. So. What else do we want to talk about?
Well, interesting to note there, too, that the rosters were similar because there were a couple Michigan transfers on that Rutgers roster, right? Michael Dumfor, Drew Singleton.
Yeah.
And we saw both of them making plays. So that's just kind of an interesting side note, maybe.
Dumfor had a big sack late in the game. I mean, he blew right through the line. He wasn't even touched.
Oh, yeah.
And got to McNamara. I think it was in the first overtime.
Yeah, I think he blew right by Zach Zinter. So, I mean, some of the that's where you're seeing our young line, right? Some of the chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah. Also, Drew Singleton, one of those blocks that Eubanks just absolutely. I'm gonna send you guys the video because it was so bad. But he came in and blew up Giles Jackson on a swing pass. So like those are two guys would be starting on Michigan right now, 100%. Like we are dying for Michael Dumfor in the middle at the moment. So. Like I never thought that Drew Singleton would play for us, but now obviously we're on to, backup linebackers. So, I don't know, maybe he wouldn't be a starter, but Dumfor would probably be our best D lineman at the moment.
100%. 100% Dumfor would be in and playing. I mean, I think Drew Singleton, he was an IMG guy, 4-star.
Yeah, he was good. It's frustrating for sure to lose guys like that to Maryland. And Dumfor didn't he leave for family issues? Isn't he from the East Coast?
Yeah, like he had a legitimate reason. But I mean, you think of the DT transfers, right? You got Dumfor, he left. Aubrey Solomon, 5-star guy, went Tennessee, right? I don't know how he's producing there, but makes a huge difference right now. Could really use them.
Even if he's average, he'd kill it in the middle there right now.
Yeah.
So What does this do for you guys in terms of your thoughts on Harbaugh, your thoughts on what Michigan should do with this coaching staff? Obviously, I think we're all on the same page with Don Brown, but even with Josh Gaddis and some of these other position coaches, where do you guys stand in terms of that after one triple overtime win over Rutgers to put Michigan at 2-3?
I mean, I've backed off the fire Harbaugh train. I have put the pedal to the metal on the fire Don Brown train. And I think Harbaugh's getting a lot of heat and I hate to do this to a player, but I feel he's getting a lot of heat for Milton not being successful. And I think it's on Milton. I mean, McNamara's been successful, and he's a Harbaugh recruit. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh, McNamara's just good and Harbaugh didn't develop him? I mean, I think Harbaugh's getting a lot of heat for Milton not being developed, but, like we said with Mozzie Smith, some guys just aren't there yet. I think Milton's got a lot of talent, and hopefully they can do something with it. But I don't know, if the offense can score points and McNamara can do what he's been doing, I think Harbaugh's job is saved, and I think Gaddis's job is saved. But Don Brown, I mean, people wanted him gone last year. People wanted him gone 2 years ago, and their defense is continuing to look awful. I think Don Brown's the only for sure guy that's going to be gone at the end of the year, which I don't think they should wait that long, but that's when it'll be.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of with Jack. I'm like, I've backed off of the fire Harbaugh train. Now, that will totally change if all of a sudden Joe Milton trots on the field against Penn State. I'll be like, okay, you're an idiot now. But I mean, as long as we say, okay, Cade's the guy, Cade's our guy, he's playing. I'm backing off the Harbaugh train. But Don Brown, gosh, like the defense is so awful right now. I can't.
I don't know if there's a worse defense in the Big Ten. I really don't.
Man, dude, it's bad. Like we would be in last place in the ACC with this defense.
Big 12.
Definitely the Big 12. Holy shit.
Oh my God. Offenses. Yeah, those air raid offenses would literally be throwing for 1,000 yards on us.
God. This defense needs to play like Eastern, and that will be a good measuring stick.
We talked about this with Brandon Brown and with Bryce Marich about that 2018 recruiting class and how, that's Vincent Gray and Jamon Green and they're 3 stars. But, I mean, you have to know that's what you're working with then and adjust. And you have to work to develop those guys if you know that's going to be a weak point in this class. And so it's so frustrating. I just think, half of it's scheme, half of it's player development, but all of it is bad now. And so this isn't like you can have down years, right? As far as production from a defense, production from your team, but like the drop off if you want to be elite, if you want to beat Ohio State, which is obviously the goal, the drop off can't be that significant year to year or even from starter to backup.
I mean, yeah, 100%. And for me, it's not even being an elite team anymore. It's just beat Ohio State. Go 9-3 and beat Ohio State. The whole fan base would be satisfied at that point. I mean, you beat Ohio State every, third or fourth year. At least if you're doing it every now and again, I think that satisfies the fan base, and then you can take the next step after that. But that needs to happen first.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, though, the only way for us to beat Ohio State is to be elite, right? Yeah. Ohio State gets caught sleeping against, maybe a Rutgers, a Maryland, or someone like that. But against us, they're always up for the game. That's why they get their gold pants on in the morning, right? So, I mean, for us to beat them, we would need to be like a 12-0 caliber team. And
that's what they were in 2018, and they couldn't do it.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And then look at what happened the year before that with John O'Korn. They were in the game. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
I was thinking about this earlier today too. Like, who's the last player under Harbaugh who you've seen them actually develop? Maybe like play one way one year, and the next year you're like, wow, he's significantly better.
It's a hell of a question.
That is a hell of a question.
Because like even the guys that have been our best guys were our best guys when they stepped foot on campus. Jabril Peppers was, the best guy when he stepped foot on campus. And he wasn't even a Harbaugh recruit, So,
yeah.
I mean,
Winovich? Chase Winovich?
Yeah. Uche.
Yeah.
Uche? Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the one that came to mind for me was Jake Rudock, where it was like in real time.
He only had 1 year. Yeah.
It was like in real time he was improving.
Like
and
week to week.
Yeah. He got better and better every year. That's true.
I would say Winovich and Uche on the D line probably. Aiden Hutchinson and Kwity Paye definitely I think too. But they were also big recruits. I think Kwity Paye is a good one because he wasn't a big.
He was a 3-star or something. Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't think of any offensive guys other than Rudock. I mean, right? And that.
Right.
Some of the linemen I'd say under Warner that went to the NFL last year.
Yeah, maybe like a Ben Bredesen kind of guy. Yeah.
Well, like skill players.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody, and that seems
Ronnie
to have
Bell.
been our.
Ronnie Bell. All right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fuck, I don't know. Other than that, though, like we just named off 5-6 guys, but like 5-6 guys out of 150 times 6, of Jim Harbaugh's classes. It's like that's not good. In my opinion, that's probably my biggest beef with Harbaugh. It's not even can't get your guys to play, can't get them fired up. It's player development. You have every resource in the world at Michigan to develop those players, and you have all the money in the world to hire the right assistant coaches and strength coaches and all that stuff. And you know what? It's happening in other sports at Michigan. Michigan basketball develops every single guy to be to excel and exceed their expectations. And nearly every single guy in football does not even come close to their expectations. So it's not like it's a Michigan thing. It's a Michigan football thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh should be hiring John Beilein.
Fucking, they gonna send the football players to Camp Sanderson.
Definitely Camp Sanderson, bro.
Jesus.
Even I actually saw let's transition into basketball a little bit. I know we just had a crazy football game. It's I can't say that with a straight face. Like we just beat Rutgers in triple overtime, bro. Come on. I mean, the thing was like I'm sitting here last night. Jacqueline's half asleep on the couch because it's fucking midnight by the time the game's, getting over. I'm like standing up pacing for a fucking game against Rutgers. Like, well, when that kick happened, when they missed the kick, I was like, I almost turned it off before because I was just assuming that he was gonna make it. But and then he missed it. I was like, oh my god, he missed it! What an idiot! He really missed it.
Was that Nordine or the Rutgers kicker?
The Rutgers.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know if you were talking about Nordine or him.
I mean, Nordine can fucking get
But
lost.
0 for 3, man.
Dude, you're brutal.
Oh.
And then he has the audacity to it was caught on camera for him to be like, do your fucking job to the long snapper. Like, fuck you, dude. You didn't do your job.
Yeah, do your shit. Put Moody back.
Jacqueline is yelling at me because I'm swearing too much. It's a normal amount after a game.
It's passion. This is my passion.
Exactly.
Should have heard you during the game.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just through text because I couldn't wake her up.
What do you think's a realistic expectation for the rest of the year? Do you think Michigan finishes? I say they get one more win for sure against Penn State. But I mean, do you think they have an opportunity to get to 4 wins, beat Maryland or Ohio State?
I think they're 4-4. I think they probably beat Penn State and Maryland. I think Maryland is they're all right. They're going to score on us, but I think that we can score down too. I mean, we essentially scored 35 points in one half.
Yeah.
Or I mean, one half plus one drive in the end of the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
So we scored, like you said, pretty much every time we had the ball. Or put ourselves in an opportunity to score, and then Nordine screwed it up.
Fucked it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'd say that, but also like I'm thinking about this Penn State game this week. They're gonna go into it saying this is our chance to get a W, right?
Yeah.
They're going to attack the corners. They're going to run it up the middle. They're going to, use everything they got because they have nothing to lose. So honestly, I'm still in the I'll believe it when I see it camp. So if we win, great. But otherwise, I'm going to assume we're not going to win.
Yeah.
What a brutal football season.
Hopefully it just snows like it is right now for the rest of the year, and then people can't throw against us. But then they'll just run for 350 yards. So what does it really matter? Jesus. So, yeah, I did want to transition. So basketball starts this week. I think we're 3 days away. Yeah, Bowling Green. So I did want to touch on that. And the transition I had was when you were talking about Camp Sanderson is Shawnee Brown. I saw his quote earlier this week. He said, I thought I was in super good shape until I realized what Michigan shape is. He said he said Camp Sanderson is like next level, and being in Michigan shape is different than ACC, than anything else that he's seen. Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude looked like a specimen coming in too. So
he's jacked.
I'm excited to see how he plays. I saw Franz Wagner kind of lit it up in some scrimmages too. I know you guys aren't real high on him, but
are you ready to finally jump on the bandwagon of the guy that's like the most highly touted guy we have in the whole program?
I don't know what it is that I don't like about him, but there's something. I just don't know.
He's a Wagner.
But I don't know. Maybe it's the wristband on his arm. I don't know. There's something about him that I don't fucking like. I don't know what it is.
I will say the wristband's like low on your actual wrists that's like 1970s stuff.
Man, that's like dad swag. I love it. But I hate it.
Now you're back.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to see him do well. I do. I want to see him do well. I just don't know what it is. There's just something about him. I don't know. I can't explain it. I really can't.
But that from the closed scrimmage, the stats came out. Let me pull them up real quick. I remember I screenshotted them. So Franz had 26 on 11 of 18 shooting. That's a good game. And then 8 rebounds, so almost a double-double. Isaiah Livers was good like all the way around. 16 points, went 3 for 7 from 3, had 9 rebounds and 6 assists. So damn near close to a triple-double for a small forward who doesn't handle the ball very often. That's kind of crazy. And then Hunter Dickinson went 17 points and 5 rebounds. Would like to see more rebounds from our big guy, but 17 points for his first performance, I'd say, pretty damn good. And then sounds like Shawnee played the most, which is kind of crazy. He had 37 minutes, and then he went 4 for 7 from 3. So if that dude can come in and be a knockdown 3-point shooter for us, that changes everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's somewhere that Michigan struggled last year, where they had thrived recently. I mean, and they were still a solid team.
Yeah. The other transfer, Mike Smith, went 6 for 14. He made both of his threes, ended up with 14 points. Brandon Johns had the best plus-minus of the night and was at a plus 20. He had 14 points and 7 rebounds in 30 minutes. I think that they're going to continue to have a deep rotation. It's not the 7-man rotation like John Beilein had, where he never would put in anybody past those 7 guys. But you're still going to see 9-10 guys play on this team. Austin Davis is still back. What do you guys think about basketball? I'm like, okay, we're back in on football a little bit, so I'm not as excited, but I'm still pretty damn excited about basketball season coming up.
Yeah, love basketball season, man. Just another Michigan sport to watch, and they're always fun to watch too. So I'm pumped they're playing. It'll be weird to see them play at the same time that football's playing. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, like I said last time, I mean, I haven't been watching basketball, or I didn't watch them as much last year. But it sounds like it's a new enough team that I can jump right in and get to know everybody. And I'm just looking forward to seeing Juwan start to dominate the Big Ten.
Hell yeah. It'll be interesting to see how, they work with Eli Brooks, and Mike Smith and Zeb Jackson, the freshman, to replace Xavier, because I think Xavier is the one guy. He's kind of like Shea Patterson, a little bit of the unsung hero. Did I say this last time? Probably. I don't know. I can't remember. I think I did. And so it'll be interesting, if Franz Wagner can put up 20 plus every game, that's huge. And then I think that leaves Isaiah Livers to not have to be the guy, and he can kind of just be a spot up 3-point shooter. Obviously he can do more than that, but I think that's where he's best, is from 3. And then on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do on the defensive side of the ball, because I think that's where under Luke Yaklich, under Beeline, they were really good on defense, and then they lost that with Yaklich going to Texas. So under Juwan, he's not really a defensive. I mean, he is because he was a center, but his offense is focused on scoring points.
Makes more fun for me.
True, we can just bet the overs.
That's right.
So, all right. Well, again, big time thriller from last night. Win for Michigan. You know what? I don't care. A 3 overtime win against Rutgers is a hell of a lot better than a 3 overtime loss against Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can like joke about, oh yeah, we beat them and it took 3 overtimes, but like, fuck, if we would have lost last night, we would be in. I mean, every headline would be Harbaugh loses to Rutgers. So I think, we can be just thankful that we got out of there alive.
Yeah, and I think it's encouraging to see Cade bring a team back from down 17-0 with basically a half to do it. It's encouraging to see. Brings hope for the rest of the season.
Yeah. So anything else from you guys on that, or basketball, or life in general?
No, we're gonna try to get some basketball people on this week, right? Hopefully we can get some on before the game Wednesday and get that out, give us some insight. But I got nothing, boys.
Tune into Michigan hockey too.
Oh yeah,
4-0.
Very well.
They were number 1 on SportsCenter Top 10 actually. Their overtime winner.
That was a sick fucking goal.
Dangles.
Yeah. Oh
Dangles,
my God.
looking like Pavel Datsyuk out there.
That kid's a freshman too. I think he was drafted first round.
Yeah, this team, like, legitimately Frozen 4 type team. So we may just become a hockey and basketball podcast very soon here. So
that'd be great.
I'd love it. The stress of our lives would go down immensely.
Oh my God.
We'd just be positive all the time. Just keep drinking. Imagine drinking for good reasons all the time instead of drowning out the sorrows. That would be incredible.
Man.
Don't even know what that feels like anymore.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think back to a time where I was able to do that.
Not in our lifetimes.
Not
since I've been 21, that's for sure.
Oh, fucking A.
All right. Well, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as on YouTube at Blue by 90 Podcast. We've been getting some love on YouTube, so like and subscribe. We're up to, I think, a couple hundred subscribers or something like that. So love it. We'll put some more content up there if you guys want it, especially during basketball season. Maybe some instant reactions or something like that. I don't know. Throughout the weeks. Looking forward to it. It's snowing in Ann Arbor right now. Apparently, it was 60 on Friday, and now it's snowing, so it's just classic Michigan. I mean, you can't say that enough in Michigan. It just continues to always blow your mind. Maybe it'll be a snow game in Ann Arbor next week, so we'll see. We'll have another podcast coming up focusing on basketball a little bit, and the Penn State game coming up this week. Other than that, go Blue. We'll see you later.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.